I really liked in part about your story, that contrast. Was there always that difference in personality? Because with Leatrice, she, her mother would say, well, where are you going? And she would say, okay, let's do that. Let's go to Europe. You need to get your degree. You need to go to Harvard and all of that. What was that dynamic between her and her mother and that difference?
You know, Leatrice came up in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And if you were black and lived in Washington, D.C., that was quite a system of stratification. And they were not of the first families. Mm-hmm. Her father was not an educated man. Her mother wanted to go to college but didn't. So when Leatrice came along, she's going to do it. And so she went to the University of Chicago on the train by herself to get a master's degree. So she had that fortitude, and I think that was what began to permeate our love and our relationship, because, you know, she was there. She was really there.
Now, what if Kevin reflects those kinds of things in terms of the drive that you have to continue forward the legacy of these strong females who have permeated this family?
Well, I've been married to Kevin for 35 years.
Good Lord Almighty, child.
And he is like the wind beneath my wing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he's a quiet person, but he is right there. And he knows what he's doing. He's smart. He's talented. But he does not have. He does not want to be the forefront.
He wanted
me to be the upfront person. It's not something I always wanted to do, but I took that on because I saw that I could work with Robert to help me to get me someplace, get me there, and he's been a great mentor for that.
Well, and so now this is the first woman-owned architectural firm in the state of Ohio, or is
No, it's not the first woman-owned. First, it's majority owned, minority owned in the state of Ohio, but not the first.
Okay. How many other female architectural firms are there now? A lot of them, but I presume most of them aren't minority owned.
I know of at least two, but I'm sure I know at least two. I know there's two more that I know of.
It's still a field that is relatively narrow for people of color.
Yes.
You were talking, and here again, it reminded me of 115 years ago when I was in college and I had a glimmering desire to be an interior designer. And I went to Western Reserve. I really did. Yes, I did. Graduated from Western Reserve. So long ago, it was called Mather College back then. But it was useless at that time. Plus, we were programmed to believe certain things way back in the 50s and the 60s. We women, and I didn't know I was a person of color until much later in life. I guess that was in college or later that I found out, because we had always been in a mixed environment and wasn't aware of a lot of the negativity that, even though Cleveland was prejudiced, Cleveland was one northern city that was prejudiced, but nevertheless, I stopped taking courses to be an interior designer because back then it was almost futile.
Sure.
I didn't have the same fortitude. My aunts and uncles and parents, get a real job, be a teacher, because I was going into theater back then too, and that was unheard of. Of course, I still turned out to be insane.
Well, but isn't that what really led to your love? In fact, your wife and her love of theater, your love of opera, for example, and Jeannie growing up to be a very, very fine actor. But she went through some hard times too when you moved to Cleveland Heights up there. Tell us about some of the struggles that your kids
I'll be happy to do that. But first, I want to say this, that Kevin has had a remarkable life.
Yes.
First of all, you got to realize there were four sons: Robert, Julian, Stan, and Bernard. Bernard was the youngest son.
Right.
Kevin is the son of, and Kevin is the youngest of Bernard's son.
And who passed away way too early.
That's right. And I know that Kevin had a difficult time for a while, but he managed, and Leartus was really with him all the way. 'Cause I remember the time when Bernard was getting ready to graduate, and Leartus said, "You're going to walk down the aisle." So Leartus and Bernard Kevin had a great relationship. And Kevin has done a wonderful job, I think, in trying to, because he had a more difficult than any of the rest of us. But getting back to, what was it you asked me?
Well, I was also, because of some of the challenges, I think part of it,
Cleveland Heights?
yeah, part of the theme that goes through my mind as I read through this is the challenges that so many members of your family and the people that you've been involved with have had to overcome. And Jeannie had a very difficult time when you first moved up to North Park Street.
Yeah, well, we were living in Cleveland. I'd gotten my office going, we were working very well. And the public schools in Cleveland were having a problem. Overcrowded. And then they started to have relay classes.
Oh, God.
Which means that the children went to school half a day. Well, I went to school, my wife went to school, we said, no, we can't stand this. We gotta either get them in school in Cleveland or get another place to go. So we said, no, in Cleveland, they were not having any schools in Cleveland that you could go full time for colored people. I used to use the word colored because that's what I grew up with.
We have been colored, African American, Negro, black, minority, people of color, since I've been alive. Yeah.
So my wife and I, and Charlie DeLeon, who was my neighbor, said, look, we've got to do better than this. We got to go and find a place these people can go to school. Either we can send them to private school, Hawken, and we still live in the neighborhood, or we can move to the neighborhood where they can make friends with people. That's what we thought was a choice.
And you lived on North Park and Shaker Boulevard for many moons. Did you design that house? Because you stayed in it. Yeah.
But the thing about it, though, so we decided we had to go. We tried Shaker Heights. Charlie had gotten somebody to say, yeah, we'll sell you my house. But Charlie DeLeon was his name, and they heard DeLeon. But when he showed up and he was a black person, oh, no, they can't do that.
Yeah, a lot of that went on. Yeah.
So we looked around, we saw these 2 empty lots on North Park Boulevard. So we had somebody to buy them for us, and we started building the houses. Well, after word got out that some colored people were moving there, things began to happen very bad. And it was kind of rough because they tried to burn the house down under construction. And they had signs on the wall, and they'd go home, and all the usual stuff. And we toughed it out, but I think the thing that really, I will never forget this. We were going to move on a Friday, and on Sunday before Friday, my telephone rang. And somebody said, you're Mr. Madison? I said, yeah, I'm Madison. You're the one that's going to move on? Yeah, I'm going to move on to North Park. I don't think you should. I said, really? He said, I think that black people should live with black people, Jews should live with Jews, Italians should live with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I said, okay. He said, I know anything about that. I said, well, police department knew about it, the fire department knew about it. Well, you know, he said, well, I didn't know anything about it. I said, well, it's too bad. We're going to move. He says, do you have children? I said, yes. He said, who's going to walk them to school? This was on the other line, and that really was something. So I said, well, what do you have in mind? He said, I want to buy you out. I said, okay. I'll meet you tomorrow morning at my lawyer's office. We never showed up. But we toughed it out and went that way.
We had, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We had a not quite similar, but similar family experience. Ken and Blanche Cooley, my cousins, moved on Monticello, the corner of Yellowstone, and that was their house that got bombed.
Yeah,
that was my cousin, yes.
To the era.
Huh?
It must have been during that period because there
was
several bombings going on.
Yeah, and now in that case, the police, this was Cleveland Heights, not University Heights, it was Cleveland Heights right there. But the police responded, the neighbors, the community finally, came together and helped protect them. But that was really weird. That in 1964, 5, 6, whenever that was.
I was 1960.
Could have been 60, yeah.
When they finally happened. Right across the street where I was was a fellow's named Byers Hayes. He was an architect. I knew him through the AIA. We got to be pretty good friends. So he heard about all this stuff. He called me and said, Bob, I hear there's gonna be a Negro architect gonna move across the street from me. I said, yeah.
Yeah.
He said, you know who it is? I said, yep. He said, who is it? I said, me. He said, well, why didn't you tell him? I said, why should I tell you? He said, well, actually you should tell him because some time ago, somebody tried to buy this house and we bought him up. I said, well, I'm gonna have a meeting of all the neighborhood, just to get it going. So he said, before we move. And I said, okay. So he said, he called me about a week later and said, about this, what happened to me. All the neighbors came to his house, right across the street from where he said, and they said, he was, oh, we're gonna have an architect living next, oh, we got too many architects. He said, so we want medical, oh, we got too many medical doctors. We don't need, one of them has got a dog, oh, we don't need a dog. This one went to this school, this went to Harvard, he went to this one, he said, oh, that's pretty one. He said, and they're colors. And then he said, you could hear a pin.
Pin drop.
And somebody said,
Buy them out.
Lord, a raisin in the sun.
That's it. And the day before that, when buyers called me, he said, what's your price, Bob? I said, we're going to say, he said, no, everybody got a price. I said, okay, $250,000 per house.
Yes.
If they got $500,000, I said, we'll make a living. That was what happened.
Yeah, so that ended up ultimately ended up living there, and the reason that I went to that was because when you took over the firm, there were some struggles at that time, and you've had to change some things about how you do business there, Mr. Clan. Change some things about how you present things to potential clients. And you know, it hasn't been easy getting to the point where you are now. So tell me please and I'm leading to someplace here with all of this, but some of the struggles that you went through once you made the decision, you know, I am ready to take this over and to move forward with the Madison Architecture.
And before she answers that, we've got to begin to think about wrapping up, because we could talk forever. So go, yes.
Well, one thing with our firm is that we do a lot of public work, a lot of work for schools, the school district. We do a lot of work for state of Ohio, for the water department. We don't have a lot of private clients, and with the with public work, they have a lot of set-asides. And as Robert knows, he always tells us, we're not 10%, we don't do just 10%, we're architects, we can do the whole thing.
Yeah.
But during that time, 2008, people were downsizing, or a lot of architects went out of business, but we were able to hold on. And so there's a lot more larger firms, and a few medium-sized firms, and a few smaller firms. So as a minority firm, and it's not, and many of us, it's just hard to even get out there and get work for ourselves, for larger amounts, because everybody wants to just give you the 10% or 5%. But we do have a lot of, some companies that see the value that we do and do call us back, so we do have that. So it's not easy. We still have to fight for, everything. It's like anything, everything. But what I'm finding is that the black community is stepping up. They're doing a lot more, and that I am so happy to see that, because we as a black community need to work together to help each other out, to help impact each other, and that's one thing that I've found. So we've working with our own community, I think it's really been the way to we've been moving forward in many ways.
And anytime you're doing something worthwhile, there's going to be a challenge, there's going to be a struggle.
There's always a struggle.
And I think one of the things that Mr. Madison's career shows is that there's you have to be persistent. There are going to be times when it seems like you're down and out, but success is about how many times you're able to pick yourself back up and keep moving forward, and you can't give up. And there's so much now that's confronting our young people today. The elimination of some of the programs in the schools, the arts, the elimination of the crafts and things like that.
Anything to raise the aesthetic value of Americans as a civilization.
And I think that young people can look at Mr. Madison and can look at you. Young women, young boys, can look at the two of you and understand that if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to persist, and if you have the support of people who love and care about you, because it all comes back to your family, it all comes back to the community, to people who are willing to reach out and give you a hand, willing to say, you know what, I believe in you. And, Mr. Madison believed in you, tested you a little bit.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But then
Tested me all the time.
yeah, but you showed that you were up to it and that you were ready for that and you were okay with that. And of course, you went through so many things. We kind of skipped past some of the racism, the war and being shot out. All of that stuff, we know it was so hard.
That's okay.
But I think I wanted to end this in terms of wrapping in part on the positive note of how this can benefit the
Can I say
young
one more
people.
thing
Yes,
before
sir,
that?
please.
Now, I'm really very proud of what Sandy and others are doing. I know all the architecture firms. When I opened the office in '54, this was the 10th in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I knew them all.
Right.
No more, yeah.
And Madison Robert, whatever the name is now, is the only firm that is going to another generation. Fry tried it, others tried it. And in Cleveland, there's only one other firm that has gone from one generation, and that's Barlowski.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very proud of what they're doing.
Yes,
Holding it up, keep it going,
that's right.
and I'll be there.
Well, and your legacy will be the human. It's one thing, all of the wonderful buildings, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the museum, the library, all of that. But the other legacy is the human legacy that will go on and move forward and pay it forward. And I just wanted to say I'm so proud to have had the opportunity to speak with both of you. To see how one has moved forward into the next. And I hope this is an example, especially to young black and brown people out there who have a dream, that not only can they build that dream, but that they can bring it forward, that they can build wealth, that they can build family and community. And if you want a perfect example of how to do that, get a copy of this book. It's called Designing Victory, and it tells the story
Who
of...
is it by?
Well, it is by Mr. Madison and David Wolf. The stories in here are absolutely spellbinding. I'm a little bit tired today because I simply couldn't put it down last night. So get a copy of the book, read these wonderful stories. And I want to wish the two of you much success and happiness and love going forward. With that, to close, I'll turn it back to my mentor and someone who has been an example for me, Sue Johnson.
Bad example, honey. Let me tell you.
So please,
Before you go, could I
yes,
say,
absolutely.
I've been in a lot of interviews and lots of, speeches. This has been wonderful.
Thank you.
I really have enjoyed you and with Sandra with me. I'm not a youngster anymore, but
I keep telling you, next to a 125-year-old, you're young.
But this has been a very good, instructive debate, conversation by you and you. And of course, Sandra, I thank you.
We thank you. We are so honored and privileged to finally have captured you. That I know it's a traditional, worn-out saying, one of Cleveland's living legacies. And while you are still living, there's somebody came up with this, give people the flowers and the accolades.
Absolutely.
While they are still
While they
on
can
this
smell it.
side of the grass.
While they can smell it.
So Robert and Sandra, again, as we close out, because we have talked quite a while, and like I said, we could keep going, but give us, Sandra, we'll start with you so that Robert has the last word. Give us your message of to all colors, sexes, what have you, about your dreams, your hopes, your careers. We'd like to, at each of our Wake Up and Live with the Arts shows, like to have our guests offer advice or insights on how to become who you want to be. Can you give us your perspective on, in a few words, on how that works for you?
Say that once you've figured out what it is that makes you get up in the morning, makes you happy, makes you want to wake up. Don't let anybody deter your dream. Don't let anybody tell you you can't, because you can. You can. Just keep moving forward. If there's an obstacle, go around it, jump over it, but keep your eye on the prize. The prize is you have the opportunity to get that prize. Don't let anybody take that away from you, no matter what it is. So.
And be advised, Sandra Madison is the CEO of Robert P. Madison. I'm not quite sure of the company name at the moment, but of this architectural firm, which has been around Cleveland for many years. It's a national and international architectural firm, and you do not see that many, whatever color we are, Black, American, African American, Negro, minority, women of color, I did already say that, as heads of architectural firms. And teachers are wonderful, librarians are wonderful, office assistants now, they're not secretaries. But aspire to those high dreams that not everybody is going after, and it's unusual, and the challenges are beyond tremendous. And we haven't even talked about what it took her to get to be a well-known, well-respected female woman CEO of an architect firm.
Right.
So I applaud you, your family
Absolutely.
Influence helping you get there and stay there. And we look forward to whatever little something that we can contribute. We'll be happy to do it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Robert, your final thoughts on inspiration and dream building?
I'd like to quote a saying that we've used, my wife and I, for years. It goes like this: far better it is things to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to take rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much, because they live in the gray twilight that knows not victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt.
Right.
Thank you, Robert Madison, Sandra Madison, James McGilvray, Lester Bryant, and I'm Sue Johnson on behalf of Wake Up and Live with the Arts. And be sure to wake up and live with the arts every day and think of Robert P. Madison and Sandra Madison and what they have contributed to Cleveland and the world in their lives and professions. Till next time.
Art reflects the spirit of an individual, of a community, of a purpose. Art is important because it's a reflection of culture and life and the diversity that each of us bring as individuals.
Robert P. Madison was started 64 years ago by my uncle, even though he was a Howard grad, a Harvard grad, and had studied with world-renowned architects. He could not find a job because of the color of his skin. So he had to support his family and decided, well, I'm going to open my own firm, and that's what he did.
The beautiful thing about Karamu is it came to us in a period of time where we had just taken ownership of the company. And so it was kind of the reboot of Robert P. Madison, and it was the reboot of Karamu.
Karamu House was founded in 1915 here in the heart of Cleveland, Ohio. Karamu meaning a place of joyful gathering, we produce professional theater, provide arts education, and present community programs for all people. Whether race, culture, gender, we want to serve all while honoring the African American experience.
This is the oldest African American theater in the United States, so I know how important this is. Karamu is a very old building.
Karamu House is on the historic preservation. This building has great bones, it just needs to be updated till today.
It's a great structure, but needed to be upgraded to be ADA compliant, as well as to say that this community deserved a high quality, aesthetically pleasing facility.
As an architect, we usually sit down with the owner to see what their vision and their mission is, and then try to make this project work for them. I look to Tony because he has his vision, and his vision is so clear.
In talking to Sandra, she was like that big sister, and her ability to listen, to receive, and shape and finesse a vision is a gift. And Karamu is a better place because of this design, because of this authentic relationship.
He's got a new idea every time I see him, which is always exciting. In the first phase, we decided to do the Jollof Theater because that was where they had the largest audience.
In the old design, from the lobby, you walked straight into the theater. With the new design, there's an inner lobby, which then helps control light and sound from the outside. It's just been so incredible being able to produce theater in a way that exterior areas are not impacting what's going on inside the theater.
I've seen Karamu before, and I've seen the energy after.
Oh, the design for the Jollof is just, it's amazing, because I did see the before pictures, I knew what it was.
When someone comes in, you want the space to enliven and also just bring out those creative juices.
When you walk in, there's a feeling of warmth. It feels like home.
We've come to shows now, and it's a remarkable new experience.
People were very excited. It's a whole different feel. When someone walks in, you want them to say, wow, I really want to work here, I want to dance here, I want to be a part of this.
People come here to feel, wow, this is different, this is Karamu.
My favorite part of the new design is walking onto this stage and looking out into the house and just seeing the space. I just feel the vibration, the energy. I can connect with the great artists who've been on this stage before, and their spirit and the spirit of all of the ancestors just resonate and vibrate through me.
I love that when I come here, I am full of energy. There is nothing more exciting than being in this space.
To me, what's important about Karamu is what it means to the community.
The idea is opening up Karamu House to the outside so that it does have an outward face that the community can embrace.
That community has always been a centerpiece of how it's been created.
I think it will spur the development of the rest of the neighborhood.
He's going to be the catalyst for this whole area.
It's going to be fantastic.
As we renovate the facility, as we talk about the needs of the community, we have a responsibility to serve the community, to have dialogue, and use the arts as a vehicle for understanding, reflection, and social change.
We're so happy to develop his vision for this area.
It's an exciting place, exciting time for Karamu. I'm very happy to be that person to do that.